Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Hager number 2908 power supply. This is a 1 amp power supply, modular access power supply. That's what the inside of it looks like. It weighs about 10 pounds with its steel enclosure naturally. That's where all the weight is. But that's the board. In the far upper right hand corner, you're sure going to have a reset for your PTC protected electronics. PTC, there are two ways to protect electronics from overheating, from overloading. A fuse, obviously, or a PTC. PTC is going to be a design of electronic circuit overload protection. From what I understand, the PTC functions by limiting the current in an potential overload situation to a safe level, and does so specifically through the excessive increase in heat, which is what is the triggering mechanism. So the bottom line is, in a 2908, you won't find a fuse, is the bottom line. And that evidence of the lack of fuse is obvious. You've got your AC input. Forgive me, it's AC input is here. Okay, positive, negative, green. You've got your output down here, positive, negative, common. You've got your jumpers for 12 or 24 volt. You have your battery input, obviously. You've got your transformer, certainly as well. On the inside of the door is a graph that will show you how many amp hours you're going to get out of the unit depending on the voltage that you're running and the amperage that you're pulling. And I will have a photograph down below in the extended description showing that graph that's there, and actually everything else. But everything else is in the installation instructions, and let's take a look at those now. They're linked to down below. These installation instructions are included with the hardware itself. Before we get to the installation instructions, the extended description information down below. The 2908 is a regulated modular access control power supply. Provides 1 amp, up to 1 amp of 12 or 24 volt DC power for all Hager electrified products except the electric latch retraction. I'm not looking at the specifications of electric latch retraction, but obviously it requires more than a 1 amp power supply. Filtering and output filtering and output voltage regulation provide protection and ensure the longevity of all system components. Equipped with a high-performance transformer and highly reliable electronic components. Fire alarm input that provides simultaneous release of all fail-safe locks and door holders in case of emergency. Circuit breaker protected AC input voltage. Secondary output is PTC protected. Field selectable voltage 12 or 24 volt DC. LED status indicators to provide information regarding the AC input, DC output, and battery backup status. I did forget to show that to you. The LED is right there at the tip of my finger, and we're going to go over its indicators in a moment. Separate PTC protected charging output, optional dual 12 volt or 24 volt outputs. There are modules that you can build onto this. 115 volts or 230 volt optional input coming in. Output is 12 or 24 volt 1 amp. The cabinet is 12 by 12 by 4. The battery charger 13 and a half or 27 volt DC 500 milliamps. And then there are some accessories available, which we'll get to in a moment. The installation instructions, first of all, very simple and straightforward. There's not a lot to it. We've pointed out the milestones or the waypoints, the input, the output, the battery terminal. You can see how in what is titled Figure C, if you're going to have a main system on-off or a fire panel connection, what that's going to look like. your power supply specifications, you'll see that if your battery backup is running 12 volts, you'll have a single 12-volt battery. And if you're running it at 24 volts, you'll have two 12-volt batteries wired in series, just like you would have in the back of a remote. They're wired and they're connected in series, so that if you have, if your unit requires 4.5 volts, you'll have three AA batteries, is the bottom line. Looking at the power supply specifications, suitable uses: electric lock power supply, access control, burglar alarm power supply, fire protective signaling device is listed there. Okay. Now, looking at the data sheet, that is the same information that we have in the extended description of the item. The product catalog and the module installation instructions. The module installation instructions is going to show you the add-on boards that you would run and typical scenarios. Before we get to that, the product catalog will give us an overview of the electrical products from Hager, not only power supplies and their accessories, but those things that they power. Electric strikes, keypads, electromagnetic locks are there. Power transfer devices, touch sense type bars for releasing electromagnetic devices. Delayed egress locks are there as well, that you'll very commonly see in healthcare industries. That catalog does get into the power supply and does not apparently touch on its option boards. Okay, so let's take a look at what the options are. That is listed on the cut sheet, or the product data sheet is where that's listed. And the data sheet's going to tell us that you can do a DC output regulator module. Most commonly is going to be a universal relay module that will be there. Now, getting to the final document, that would be the module installation instructions. And the first, of course, will be the relay controller. You'll have a universal relay module that will allow you to, give a power supply some functionality other than just supplying power. It's really a Swiss Army knife when it comes to configuring what you want to do with items. Features and benefits: microprocessor-based relay controller that provides multiple field selectable operational modes for up to 2 door stations. Each output relay is field selectable as a dry contact or voltage output. Centralized wiring for locks, access control, monitoring contacts, and peripheral equipment. 1 or 2 controllers may be installed in a 2908. Some of the modes would be a conventional relay, when you need to be able to power something that would be otherwise something that could not be otherwise powered. You would use a relay to do that, and many other reasons. Dual conventional relay, time delay relay, which would be very common, having a time delay. You want to be able to, open a door and not have the lock attempt to immediately relock. You might want time for that door to get into the closed position so that you can then have it lock more elegantly. A latching relay, dual latching relay, time delay latching relay, interlock, a couple of modules or modes for that. And the important part is being able to see how these things are generally installed, so you can have, on page 2, it will basically show you your wiring for either a fail-safe or a fail-secure lock. You'll be able to see exactly how you put it into a time delay mode as well, the potentiometer that's on the universal relay. As a conventional relay or CR mode. Latching relay mode is on page 3. That's there. And again, showing you typical scenarios where you are going to, how you're going to go about They're wiring diagrams. A sequencer mode would be very typical and common should you need to have one lock before the other can be operated. Time delay and latching remote wiring diagram is there. The 12-volt regulator module wiring is on the last page of the unit. And a power supply, of course, is a very, is part and parcel of the electrification of an entire system, I would recommend using all the parts from the same manufacturer so that you have a cohesive ecology, so to speak, of items that have been engineered and tested to work together. No problems with any sort of warranty issue because you're using all the same sort of products. So the 2908, typical 1 amp power supply. And backing up to why this isn't used, the 2908 for electric latch retraction, it's not because of the amperage, it's because you require a controller for doing that. And that would be a 2901 or a 2902. It's certainly not an amperage condition. Finally, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Hager products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Any questions on the Hager 2908, 1 amp power supply, or any other Hager product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.